Oh, thank you. Remind me to use the microphone. Thank you. What is it? 3:03. Let's call the meeting to order. Our first order of business, oh, Mike Shea, thank you for being here. Is public comment. Is there any public comment? Mike, you have anything you want to say? You're our public. And they're not for us, I hope. Oh, okay. Hearing none, can I hear a motion to approve the minutes from our June 3rd meeting?
So moved.
Second?
I did send
Well, I'll
some.
call for discussion, but
Okay.
do I have a second?
Oh, second.
Did
Yeah.
you second? Okay, Ann seconded, and now Ann, go ahead. I know we have some discussion.
Sorry. So yeah, I sent some edits to Laurel and Judy. Hold on, I'm just trying to pull it up. Some of them were just kind of small edits. Oh, I added a bit to the I guess in public comment, what you raised, Judy, in response to Carlos asking about NOAA and the Naracus and the Naracus sensor that we have and that impact. Hold on.
Correct.
Yes.
And so, yes, I saw the language that you submitted to, because it's a little bit more, I thought I submitted this. There we go. There we go. But do you want to just read that
Yeah.
sentence?
So I just added, Ms. Gray discussed sensitivity studies looking at how NOAA's models can be impacted and the loss of people who analyze the data for forecasts. She referenced the NOAA Naracus, which installed the optical water sensor in Old Harbor as part of their regional water level observing system used by NOAA and other government entities. Then under the town planner updates, I added that Ms. Ring will be reporting to the agencies providing the funding. This is for the Cornick Road work, including reporting on metrics. And then I removed, where it was talking about what I reported out on the ordinances, I just added that there are some revisions that need to be integrated into the next comprehensive plan. And I added ETIP to Mr. Salinas presented a report from the May 20th, and I put ETIP meeting. And then there was a little Nora Clark type of, but I get that.
I think the rest was just grammatical.
Yeah, that was just grammatical. So adding a little bit more.
Nigel, yes.
So I had one comment about the minutes, which was that item 6 starts off with me making some suggestions. Those suggestions were actually made in response to Nora's presentation about the website, and they were suggestions really for the website. Okay, and so this has sort of changed the context. And I think, George's comments were run straight on after mine. So I think these were really ideas for incorporation into the website about, some hotspot stories and stuff.
I can help you.
Maybe one should just.
I think I understand what you're saying, and I'll take a crack at restating that so that it comes out as ideas or suggestions for the website.
I mean, it could be run into 5, 6 could be dropped. So possible.
Oh, right, because this isn't.
All 6 was basically.
This is 5.
In the fall.
I recall that, and I was trying to, find something for 6.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I should have looked at this some word. But I mean, the wording was basically sort of okay, but it just is all part of 5.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's not.
And it's okay, so I think that we really didn't have very much time to talk about the community engagement piece. And so if we capture it today, I think we're fine in terms of minutes. We can have that. We can leave that. We just, yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Is everybody, okay, so with those changes, is there any other discussion of the minutes? So with those changes, we have a movement to approve and a second.
Second?
So, no, we
Oh,
got a
sorry.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, terrific. Okay, moving on. The next item is town council update, and I have a couple of things for this. And then I'll call for the rest of you. I had a meeting with Amy Land, and so I'm calling this a town council update, but it's really a lot of information from Amy Land. I asked her about Orsted, and she said that no progress has been made with Orsted right now, with the funding that they're offering the town as an offset to the wind farms. The funding will be directed towards climate resilience of historic properties, so whatever we do, we have to work within that constraint. Funds will be distributed for the North Light, climate resilience, and tourism signage. The request for proposals will be developed this summer, and I asked for an opportunity to review it, and they agreed. So I'll have to hold their feet to the fire a little bit, make sure I get in there, camel's nose under the tent. So if any of you hear about, at Laurel or somebody, and I'm just text me and I'll come down and take a look at it, or you can just email it to me. The terms of the funding agreement will be developed in parallel, so it is their hope that they will award the contract in the fall. So that's really good news for us. We had, as part of our a community engagement event for the summer, discussed the idea of inviting political constituents. So this is a new topic. So I spoke to her about that, and she said that invitations for participation in events, as well as letters from the committee, anything that we send out really needs to be cleared by the town manager and the first warden / town council. So I don't think they mean like, letters of support for proposals of something that may never get funded or anything like that. That kind of thing can come from me or whoever the chair is. But the reason for this is, especially with our political constituents, they don't want to burn them out with a bunch of invitations. They want to be very tactical or more strategic, I should say, about who they invite and when, and making sure that Reed and White House get balanced invitations and stuff like that. They have their own agenda, political agenda, and so they don't want to have us inviting them to everything, and then and then they're all burned out and they don't come to something important for the town. So it made a lot of sense, I think. And so if we're going to invite constituents, our political constituents, we do need to clear them through the town manager, and if she deems necessary, then through the town council. Like a letter to White House or Reed needs to be cleared through the town council.
Okay.
So you mean representatives, we're the constituents that are the
Well, we call, yeah, I was thinking about they are our political constituents, but we are their constituent. I understand what you're saying. Anyway, any politicians that we want to invite, yes. Okay. I also asked about updates from the Coastal Resilience Committee. The first couple of years I would go and appear in front of the town council, and I don't think I've done that in the last year. And what Amy said was updates do not need to be delivered in person. Although she said you can just submit something in writing. I really like the idea of speaking in person. I think it educates more people. It gets it out on YouTube. And so if we do create something in writing, as long as I'm the chair, I'm happy to, get up in front of the council and say whatever we want to say. And the timing, whenever you guys think that is appropriate timing for that. That's that. Oh, very big news. Last night, the letter to the URI Coastal Institute was approved by the town council. It was approved after I assured them that the letter did not place any financial burden on the town. Now, it occurs to me now, however, especially with Mike sitting in the audience, is that we will coordinate activities with town employees, which will take their time. So there is an investment in this project. You know, we're not going to put a camera on top of the town beach house without Mike's permission and involvement, and we're not going to clamp a Coast Snap site someplace without his permission and involvement. And so there is a cost in that regard, and it's mostly been borne by you so far, Mike. So thank you for that. And but I did want to be clear that it's not cost free. It's not free because there's always a cost. Anyway. And let me see. So 3A, B. Okay, I think I got it all. And so next item is the update from the town planner. So Allison, you're on.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I have a couple updates. I spoke with Kim Corriott, the Chief Resiliency Officer for the state today, and a couple things. I know I've mentioned at a prior meeting that the state was submitting a regional application to NIFWIF, and their proposal was they were asked to submit a full application. So that's great news. New Shoreham is included in that, the Corneck Road project for the next phase. So what we need to get back to them is some more guidance as to like where we are in the process currently, and if we want design dollars or construction dollars, and for what sites. So I'm working through that with Kim, and I spoke with Mike from GZA today. So the full application is due the 17th. So we're gonna come up with what the best options are for the next phase, what the town's ready for. So as you know, there's certain things that are within the scope of GZA's, current scope of work. Some of the sites that are going to proceed to full permitting, but there are other sites that will be identified and maybe some type of conceptual design, but won't be able within the scope to go to full design. And as far as construction dollars, the ones that are being designed right now, we likely don't have enough construction dollars in our current grant. So trying to come up with maybe some rough figures for those to obtain some more construction dollars. So that's some good news. And also the state has, they have hired those regional coordinators. So they'll be reaching out to the communities and likely setting up some one-on-ones next week. So I'll keep you posted on that. So maybe there'll be kind of a few folks from New Shoreham meeting with that regional coordinator next week, but I'll wait to hear from them, and I'll share that correspondence and see who would like to join.
That's wonderful. And I would love to meet them. I hope I hope it's
Sure,
not
yeah,
I hope
absolutely.
it's not a mom
Yes.
day.
I included you. Yes, yes.
Thank you. So yeah, I agree with what you said. That was sort of a little bit of a subtext in that is that we really want construction dollars, and we'd like to move past the planning phase. So, but I heard you say that. I think that that's our advice as a committee to the town. I think that, am I correct on that? And I see Sosha and Anne both have something that they want to say.
Okay.
Sosha.
Hi, Allison. You don't know the answer to this question at this moment. However, at some point, I was told at different conferences that towns want to know the cost of doing nothing. And Nantucket does that in all of its proposals. And I was wondering, what is involved in finding out what the consequences are? Who makes that determination?
So I don't really know how to answer answer that exactly.
I
So-
know.
For your scope, like for example, Corneck Road, I think we spoke with that, we spoke with GZA about that concept, like they would be including a do nothing option within their study. So I don't know if that includes dollar amounts or not, but I don't know. I mean, I guess you're estimating potential damages, right, in the future based on potential storms, but I don't know. That's outside my area of expertise.
Yeah, and this is Judy. As far as I can recall, Mike can correct me, but that's also outside of the scope of the GZA contract. That is a very specific, cost benefit kind of study that's done by, people who are experts at cost benefit studies. And if, we can look at the contract and see if we think it's in there, or if it's not, and we really think it's important, then we
I could see it
pursue
being done
that.
if there's a neighborhood, right, where that's susceptible to flooding. You don't have that really on Block Island, but you estimate like towns can have, I've seen those studies done where you're estimating your loss in tax dollars if those properties go away, so the financial impacts to the community. So it just depends sort of what specific type of like, what you're talking about specifically and
Okay,
how
you
those
answered.
are calculated.
You answered my question. The second one is a simple one. After August 4th, does the town council choose the one option out of three that GCA presents? Or is there going to be another public hearing where the town can vote informally or whatever?
Not sure how that, the public, so the fourth is more of a public input session, correct? Where the scenarios are presented, and the public is providing input.
Right,
And
right.
then as far as you mean making a who makes that determination as far as direction for GZA?
Or for the grant that you're,
Oh, well, the grant,
what
I
you're
mean,
costing out for this grant as far as.
that has to be decided right this week. There's no like it's the state's application, so it's the state that's going to decide what goes in there. We're just giving them we're giving them input, but it's
But how are we deciding our input? And I guess I would
Yeah.
ask if we, at least as a committee, could see because we haven't even seen what GZA has come up with in terms of the proposed solutions and.
well,
if
they're
they're-
working on that.
are
Yeah,
any-
you mean the August meeting where they're presenting? I know the
Right,
timing.
but you're saying you're submitting something by August 17th, so you're already
Oh,
No,
that's
July.
deciding. Thought you were talking about you're talking about something unrelated to GZA that you would include in that? I thought you were including in the grant, the state is leading the implementation of solutions that GZA came up with.
We were, the way we would write the response would be very generous so that it could, right, am I correct, Allison? So that we could accommodate, whichever direction the town wants to go. We would talk more generally about what we're doing. At this point, is that correct? Or do we have to pick something specific by the 17th?
The state is looking for Corneck Road is generally listed in there, but within our project, they would like some specifics as to the site and what
Right.
dollars we're looking for, construction or design. Unfortunately, we can't pick the timing. The state just reached out and the application, right, is due. There's already some narrative in there. So they have to just build out the details. So they're just looking to us for input as to where we are right now in our current project.
Yeah, and I think we move forward with all of
it.
it. We have a couple of different pieces. We have the parking lot and we have the dunes, and we just keep moving forward with all of it.
Is that what we have? I didn't know, I didn't,
Well,
has GZA shared that yet? I didn't.
no, the GZA is creating options for all of these places. So yeah.
Okay.
So I think for the 17th, we pursue, because we're looking for construction dollars, we pursue it for all of it. For the
yeah, we could
paths,
list-
for the road, for the beach house, whatever, for the parking lot, whatever's ours, you know, whatever belongs to the town. We can't ask for stuff for the road, but we can talk we can ask for stuff all around the road. And I wouldn't want to leave anything out of the request to the state, is what I'm trying to say.
But I guess I'm concerned about not having gone through the process of community engagement and buy-in before. It seems like we're jumping the gun a bit.
I understand.
for
Yeah.
Some of these
Well, and
projects
after,
that might
and,
not have buy-in yet. I mean, we don't know what they're going to propose, right?
right.
So,
So will the town be asking for public input before it makes a decision?
So it's the state's application for a regional application. We've been talking about this project for years. We've had these sites in the original application to NIFWIF years ago. We're moving through the process. We already have funding through the state, through RIB and NIFWIF for all the things Judy just mentioned.
Okay.
We
The
do?
town council has signed off on those applications many, many months ago, right? Previously. So I
Yeah.
don't think it's like we're not submitting for dollars for things that haven't already been kind of publicly going through a public process.
Correct. That's what I'm saying is let's pursue all the pieces because they're all part of the main project. And what we're looking for is more construction money and less on the planning side. We've gotten planning dollars so far. Let's, for
Okay.
Corn Neck, for all of these pieces, whether we come out of this meeting with, I just can't see us coming out of this meeting with something that's so revolutionary and new that we would have to go and rewrite the proposal.
No, I mean, I spoke with it's the dune path,
Yep.
the Scotch Beach realignment, and the parking lot for the beach.
Yeah.
So those are the three sites that are going to be presented. And then we already have about $200,000 in construction money from the state and NIFWIF. And so assuming that's not going to be enough, the state has a grant application. They want to include New Shoreham in it. And they are asking us, you know, what, do you want more construction dollars or do you want more planning dollars, design dollars for some of the other sites within the project area? For example, the marsh, like we talked about, that's not something, it's something GZA has identified and we've talked about it within the other grant applications, but it's not something that's going to go to design this go around, right? So we could seek grant funding for design for that. But again, it's more, you know, where the state's seeking input, you know, they're not going to submit a project we don't want to move forward for, that we're not interested in getting funding for. But at the same time, they probably want, they're going to make the decision as to like which ones maybe are most likely to strengthen their application. Again, it's NIFWIF dollars, so like they're more based type projects. So that's why I said not the revetment likely. You know, you're going to focus on what strengthens the whole application and more likely to get funding. So, I mean, ultimately, it's their call. I would say as well, like, but it's collaborative. We're going to work together and come up with something.
So Allison, in your opinion, since our committee is an advisory committee, should we not give the town council our advice on the three options that are going to be presented by GCA?
Okay, you're talking about in the August meeting?
Yes,
Those
yes,
presentations? Oh,
yes.
sure. Yes, of course they want your input and advisement. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that seems to make sense to me.
I don't know. It does. I wonder if there's something we could do that sort of, if you need something,
Well,
you need to decide on what's going in, what you're submitting to the state application before the discussion on the 4th, whether you could share with us what you're planning to propose at least so that we can
So
let us
we-
know what it is.
so we also have a meeting, the outreach folks,
Mhm.
have a meeting with GZA on the 23rd, where you'll be exposed to the options. You'll get an idea of what the three options are. I don't think we have to pick them at this point. I mean, if we pick them, we'll have an idea after the 4th of, maybe we have an idea of what we would advise, and we can advise Allison. But, and then and that could maybe shift around some of the language for the 17th. But I
I
don't
think we're
see,
talking about, sorry, Judy, two different things. So it's July, the state's application is due July 17th.
sorry.
That's then
I was
GZA
thinking
is,
August
July
17th.
17th.
no,
okay.
no, next week. So like they're looking for input immediately. And
Yeah,
then
okay. Yeah,
August,
forget it.
it's just unfortunately, yeah, like it's a little ahead of, it would have been nice if this was due in September, so we'd have a little more to include in the application as far as details and design, like, but this is the opportunity here to get some grant money, the state putting in some of the heavy lifting. So, I mean, we could be, like you said, Judy, like general, we're just identifying the sites and
Correct.
implementation dollars. We don't need to say this is the design for the beach parking lot that the town's decided to go with, because we're not there yet,
Correct.
So that's
Correct.
like, but identify the site and whether you want dollars or, I mean, design dollars or construction dollars. That's where we're at now, right?
Yes.
It's
that sounds
it's not
good.
saying I'm not suggesting I'm making any decision as to what the town is going to implement. It's just we've already identified these sites, and we're just suggesting that we're going to be moving forward. We're going to have designs ready for next year. Therefore, we'd like some construction dollars for those sites. So unless there's some disagreement as to you don't want to implement anything at those sites, then,
Right, if we chose the
are
do
you-
nothing option, for example, if we did decide for one of those sites to do the do nothing option, I think we're still fine. We will ask them, this is still, where we are in this process, we have to ask for, and Allison, when you submit, what you submit to the state process, can you share that with us? I think that will help help people understand what it is you're writing. It doesn't have to be so specific.
Sure.
Can I just ask a
Nigel,
question,
yes.
make a comment or whatever? I guess I really don't understand how you can ask for construction dollars. Let's take the specific example of Scotch Beach Road, when I don't think we have any idea what it is we're actually going to want to do there, if we're going to want to do anything. So I mean, it seems like cart before the horse here to me. When we've
yes.
got GZA
I-
working on a project in a sort of nice, thoughtful way, rather than rushing into stuff.
Well, the problem is, Nigel, that this is the opportunity now, and if we don't take it, we're off the table. In particular, with this, with the NIFWIF and the RIIB money, we're in a cycle with them, and we need to, and one that they surprised us with this due date. And so, we're just having to do the best we can to keep going. And if this is a regional proposal, we're buried, deep into a regional proposal, I think it'll be fine. Nora, you wanted to say?
And let me just clarify, we already have construction dollars for this
Yes.
project. So this is just seeking additional construction dollars. We already have
Correct.
money for Scotch Beach, the beach lot construction improvements, and the dune, like from our grant application, it included design and nothing. We're not going to start implementing something before it's been designed and permitted and the town approves to move forward with it. We're not rushing GZA or getting ahead of them. We're providing more funding to move the project forward at the next phase. This is a slow process. NIFWIF takes so long that you're going to submit this application, we're not going to hear for so long, like whether it's accepted, and by the time you get the money, and then GZA will be done, and then there'll be a pot of money to use to then
Yes.
do the next phase. So it's not, we're not skipping design or public input in any way. We're just lining up some funding for the next phase if and when the town wants to proceed with it.
Okay, my question was much simpler than that. Do you think the town council should invite our resilience committee to talk about which option they want to choose, which of GZA's options they want to choose?
I would frame it in a completely different way. We are the advisory committee. We would show them what was developed, the three options, and then we would advise them on which option to take.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, it's clear that this is completely independent of GZA is the bottom line, right? That this money
correct.
and grant has zero to do with anything that GZA are going to propose. Obviously, once a proposal has come from GZA, at that point we can give priorities and
Correct.
or advise on priorities.
Correct.
And it sounds like this money is going to be so flexible that one can sort of do whatever.
This is
think
what
needs to be
we
done.
pay, this is what we pay Allison the big bucks for, is to work within these very difficult constraints in a creative way. And Allison, I'm happy to, help you read through stuff, whatever. But, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, as
yeah, we
long as
can-
no money is spent on projects for
Correct.
which we have yet to get the advice.
correct. Yes, we're not spending in advance.
Get the money is okay, but.
Yeah.
And I mean, Nigel, this isn't that unusual that with the funding agencies and stuff. I mean, yeah, what are you going to discover this year? I remember I got that question one year. Yes.
No, I think my question was really exhausted by this conversation, but I think just really, Allison, just asking you, like, if we were to choose, to Nigel's point, really, if we were to choose that non-action, option for at least one part of it, and there's like leftover money, does that happen in this process ever? Or what would happen if we did decide ultimately, oh, none of these GZA options are, I don't think that's going to happen,
I
but
can answer that. So we do a budget, and then if we need to make a change in the budget, we just, we can move things. Yeah.
right, but even with money that's given to us by the state for a specific purpose, that's the
Yeah.
it's the cart above the horse
It's
problem.
not that specific.
Yeah.
The whole thing gets funded and then we have, so they understand that we're still in process. Yeah, it's not that inflexible. Am
So,
I-
I mean, the question is, turning down, like, once you're offered the grant funding, you're suggesting, Nora, like, that the town may not want to move forward with anything, and therefore we can just decline the money. Like, there's, like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's like a
course you
possible.
can-
I don't think that's gonna happen, but I just wanted to see like what that.
Yeah, I
would-
hope not.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't think it will
really-
either, but.
I really hope not, after years of just talking about this, that we, have nothing to show for it, but
And you had a.
I
question?
thought we were trying to focus on getting,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's
funding and
just,
grant money and implementing.
we
the
definitely
project.
want grant money, and I think as long as we all feel comfortable with not being, that funding won't be constrained and,
Right.
it's specified that it's going to go to XYZ type of project when we might end up doing something different. I guess that's the main concern. and
Yeah,
if
so I'll
that's
relay
addressed,
that
then I
to
think
the
it's-
state. I'll just tell, they know. I mean, this was months ago where we input, we're notified about this. We submitted, they already are aware of the project, obviously, included
know where
in
we
there,
are.
But they just wanted to see how far along we are as to like more details that we could put and what direction and what type of funding would be beneficial for next year when this, funding would come through. So just trying to get some input from the community, but I will try to relay, just say that we need to keep it, how general can we keep it, like we'll
Yeah.
list all the sites and then seek, I mean, Judy originally said construction dollars, but I don't know, it seems like there's some hesitation among the rest of the committee as to maybe not construction dollars, but,
I think definitely construction dollars, but just
Okay.
not tied to specific construction project. I guess.
so
Right,
don't
but
miss-
it won't
I
be
don't
that
think we-
specific, correct?
If
It's
you
not
can-
like we're writing an RFP.
It
We're
won't, I
Yeah,
mean, it's, yeah, I mean, the more specific, it would strengthen the proposal as far as like if we did have designs ready, but we just don't,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Thank-
So those sites are already, NIFWF is already aware of, they're the ones funding this phase, so they already know of the sites we've already identified in the prior grant application, so they know that's where we're working, so we're just gonna list those again, but,
So to get back to my question, I'm suggesting that the first meeting we hold, whenever that is, after the August 4th meeting, that we as a committee first discuss which option we like best or what recommendations we want to make to the town council, and then schedule a date to do that, just that, either in writing, but preferably in person.
Yeah, that would definitely be an in-person, I would think, with a nice, something in writing in advance. We do have a regular Coastal Resilience Committee meeting on August 5th, the day after. So a wonderful time to decompress
I
and,
think so.
and have that discussion since it'll all be really fresh in our minds.
Right?
And so I would say that be the main agenda item in August
Good.
for us.
Okay, I'm satisfied.
Okay. Thank you. Still on Allison, is there anything else? Oh, yes, Jean-Louis.
With GZA.
Yeah.
So they start the study already and we can access, I can look at this, or there is nothing.
You mean the options?
Yes,
No, they're still
They're
working
not
on.
ready.
there is nothing yet we can look at.
Correct, correct. They're still putting it all together.
Okay,
And I hope that we'll all see them on August 4th, but the committee that's working on the community outreach event will see them on the 20. Oh, no, that's our regular meeting on the 20. Yeah, no, on the 23rd. That's when you guys, right? You have a meeting with them, GCA on the 23rd. Oh, what? Yeah, yeah.
so
And then-
could somebody outside of this part of the
Oh,
community?
Yeah, if you're really curious, then
Yeah, could I come, for example, to the 24th?
no, because we can't have unless, oh, well, we can announce the meeting. Yeah, I mean, if we announce it, then you can, and then we can have a quorum.
Right, is it necessary for all of us to just update it with that?
I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, I'm happy to work with Laurel and announce a meeting for the 23rd. That's a working session, as long as it's announced. We can call it a working session. And it'll be, looking at the options
Right.
geez, does that sound good to you, Mike? If it's for the 23rd of August when you were, or not August, 23rd of July, my paper just flipped over. We were going to meet from 10 to 11 with the committee that's putting on the August 4th event. And is it okay if we have a quorum of committee members there?
Judy, I won't be there.
Okay.
so maybe there will be.
Oh, maybe Jean-Louis can replace Anne. Okay.
Like,
Yes, Nigel.
Are we still having the last Wednesday of the month? meeting?
Yes, that's the 30th, on July 30th. That's correct.
So it would be dry on the 24th.
July 23rd.
What meeting is that?
July 23rd is that's what I have in my calendar, the meeting between the committee that is planning the event and GZA. Is that right? Mike, what are we doing I thought that's what we were doing on the 23rd.
Yeah, that's my understanding, was to go through kind of preliminary concept designs, or I guess they wouldn't be preliminary at that point, but present those all to you, kind of a sneak peek, so we can tweak anything if we need to before the public meeting.
Before the public meeting.
So
Yeah.
what date is that?
The 23rd from 10 to 11.
Is that the date we picked to look at the town hall, to set up the tables?
Yes, yes.
That's the 22nd? I was not aware of these meetings.
I have meet at town hall on 10 o'clock on the 22nd.
Yeah, at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
right?
yeah, 10 o'clock. That was just us. That wasn't GZA though.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The next day, yeah. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't just me and Mike making that up. I can't remember who else was on that, but yeah.
And the 30th?
The 30th that's a regular call. That's just Allison and me.
Oh.
And yeah, that's the preparatory meeting for this meeting. Yes, we like, because we were meeting GZA right afterwards and we said, no, let's meet with GZA beforehand so that we can report stuff out. So,
So you confirm, I'm sorry, you confirm on the 23rd, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yeah. And it's, I mean, we can make it a Zoom. We can ask Laurel to set up a Zoom or, and that's fine. Why don't we do that? Make a Zoom on the 23rd at 10 a.m. That's great. No, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it won't be a quorum. It'll only be 4 people since Ann can't be there. Yeah. I'm gonna say it. I don't mean it this way, but Nora doesn't count towards the quorum. Towards the quorum. It counts big time. Also with Allison, there was a question about the comprehensive plan. And so I spoke with Amy Land about that. And so the comprehensive plan is going out for bid. And that includes hiring a contractor to focus on the comprehensive plan. The request for qualifications will go out from the town clerk this summer. The planning board and Jen Brady have the lead roles in the development of the comprehensive plan. This development is a public process and the Coastal Resilience Committee can be involved. So in addition to Allison, is there someone who wants to be the committee's, the Coastal Resilience Committee's liaison with the comprehensive plan development? And that's basically meeting attendance, really participating in the process. So Sosha, that's wonderful. Thank you. And is there anyone else who wants to participate in the comprehensive plan development? But so.
But what,
Yeah,
You
And,
already are.
yeah, Mary will also be.
Yeah.
well, you're as part of the planning board?
Yes.
Right, so that's fine. Is there anyone?
I'm happy to.
Okay, so Anne, so Sosha, you're there as Sosha
Right.
and Mary as planning
it
board.
isn't clear for me, what is the,
Comprehensive plan.
yes.
It's a 10-year plan for the town and all.
For the
of it.
zoning, you mean, or?
No,
No.
for every.
For-
You know what?
Conference.
So Jean-Louis, this is a really good chance for you to find out about this.
Yeah,
And
just-
Anne can be our lead, but they have meetings that everything is open to the public for this.
Right.
It's an open process. And so you can participate to whatever degree you want.
Right, okay, I would
Yeah.
love to be part of this.
Yeah, because it's really a good learning process.
Yeah,
The
okay.
planning board meets every second Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
Every-
Second Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So when did I have this down here? Okay, I'll talk about is there anything that we want to talk about from, let's see, GZA? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, do we want to talk about that under the working groups or here with within Allison's section? Let's move on. Poor Allison. Let's move past Allison. We'll come back to
No,
GCA.
I'm here. Is there anything else
Okay.
you want to talk about?
Oh, well, we had our, meeting with GZA and, we talked about, where are they now? They're, finalizing their vulnerability report. Wait a minute, let's see if I have notes.
That's
on
been
it.
submitted. The vulnerability analysis was finalized.
Excellent.
Yep. And that's going to be posted to the website. I actually haven't checked the website, but I think that would be there.
We talked about how we're using, Newport, water levels as our basis, just the same way, Brian Oakley does for Block Island. And mostly because there's not enough data here at Block Island. They are going for us, they're going to, create 2 conceptual designs per area plus a do nothing option. And because we've identified the parking lot as a thing, we figure we'll do the beach house as part of the parking lot evaluation, since it's a major
Good idea.
influx to the parking lot from Split. So that's a way of us sort of introducing the beach house into this process. Review the presentation in July. Is there anything else, Mike or Allison?
One question for Sosha. I know you've been posting on the bulletin boards the updates we've worked on, like the latest one. Did it include I think the website hadn't gone live yet for the project?
What does that mean?
Did you
So the project website, when you were, you've been posting on the bulletin board, the Block Island bulletin board updates, public updates on the project. So I was just checking if one had gone out, because I'm not on the bulletin board. If one had gone out, that included the link to the project website.
No,
So we
on
can do-
purpose. That was
Okay.
done on purpose with your approval.
Because it wasn't live yet, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah. So now that it is, maybe we could do that as far as for the next, if,
Is there
And I-
enough information on that website now?
well, it has the vulnerability analysis,
Okay.
up there. They
you know
made
what?
changes based on the
So-
input.
So Sosha, why don't you take a look at it and take a look at it at the website and see if you have something that you want to say about it and, yeah. And use that as the invitation for people to, interact with it with the new website.
Can you
They have-
just email me the link to the website? Because I don't know if I saved that.
Sure. And then it has the videos like from prior meetings, presentations, GZA presentations. You can click on the link.
Okay, okay,
I
so
think- Yeah,
it's got enough to start with. Good.
I think so. Yeah.
And when I post
at
on the
least-
Gib for the public engagement event, I can also include the link to the website in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
The other thing that we spoke about, what I think it was with, at the GCA meeting, that's where I have it in my notes anyway. But we were looking at the 2025 Rhode Island Resilience Planning and Response efforts, like the Resilient Roadie actions, and but I don't know how much we really need to know about that here.
Hmm.
I'm on the working group for that
Okay.
yeah, so I can, update people on that whenever, but I don't think there's anything really
Okay.
current. We're kind of going through some of the goals and stuff and different people are adding input, so that's
Yeah,
kind of
there's like
status there.
73 actions. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, great. Okay, now update from the Block Island Climate Resiliency Coordinator.
Okay, I don't have too many things, so we can make sure we get to the planning for the community engagement meeting. But I showed Judy my kind of life's work for the last couple months of my Excel document of Block Island resilience projects, and so kind of going to reach out to each of you guys and also probably Allison, honestly, actually, Mike as well. So kind of looking at different goals from the comp plan 2016, from the summary of findings, from the municipal resilience program, and from the hazard mitigation plan that was just done, and kind of pulled all those goals together too, and kind of made some groupings. And so would love some feedback on that. And also I'll reach out to people in small groups to look at that and check on that. I think I am able to go to that Naracus workshop on August 7th. So that's part of the plan too. And then just last thing was that website QR code is now on the Tuesday movies on Fall Guy tonight, if anyone's interested. And also the TNC Hotspots has a little QR code as well, kind of. So we should probably getting a couple more views on that, and I can keep updating you guys on what we see on that, and if we get any feedback and things to change. So, and I will also add the GZA website onto the story map as well, so people can make that connection too.
Good, good, good. So the document that you created regarding the comp plan, did you forward that to Allison?
I haven't
for
yet,
the
but
comp
I am
plan
planning on
job?
trying to
That
get
was
some
my
feedback
first
on that.
idea.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's really just still very much a working document, but yeah, I definitely want to keep getting in different input. So yes, Allison, I'm going to send that
Thank
to you
you,
soon. And
thank
yeah.
you. Wonderful.
Thank you, Nora, and a Herculean effort. Way do you guys see it?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It is.
yeah. Update from the Coastal Resilience Committee Chair. I only have one thing, and that is I wanted to thank George Davis for representing us at Concert Fest.
Yeah.
All the rest I've already shared with you in other sections or upcoming sections. So so now I want to move on to 4, the working groups, and we're almost at it. I really want to give you guys more time than this. So I'm going to, is there anybody who has a burning desire to say anything from any of the working groups? Nigel, do you want to say anything about data? No? Okay.
I do.
Okay, Anne.
This somewhat relates to the event as well, because I reached out to Michael Bradley, who was the one who worked on the marsh migration web mapping, and Judy and I had a call with him. He sent us the final report, which I can share with everyone. It's Rhode Island wide, so it's not specific to New Shoreham, but includes New Shoreham. We also talked about what the next step should be, and he said the next step is to evaluate the tier 1 parcels. I think there's 11 of them on the island. And he suggested someone to reach out to potentially help with that, named Wenley Ferguson at Save the Bay. I have not reached out to her, but she's a restoration ecologist and she does this kind of thing. So I will reach out to her. He's not going to join for August 4th, but we talked about what to present, and I will have a monitor with the map of the tier 1 parcels and the marsh migration over time. And he also said it's really important to engage with the Block Island Land Trust on this, because once we've evaluated these parcels, the next step would be to reach out to the landowners and potentially establish easements in the areas where marshes are able to migrate. So that's something we want to, when we get to that stage, I think, engage the Block Island Land Trust in.
Right,
more,
because
so-
we're actually asking the homeowners to go through a legal process
Right.
of creating an easement. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we want to have our hands, we're going to be recommending this, but it's not us that was going to execute it. It would
Exactly.
be the land trust or the town or
Right.
whoever is going to own the easement,
Correct.
that whatever conservancy or whatever. So it is a legal process. So we'll once again try and get something to happen, and then slowly step back and let the implementers take over.
Right.
Yeah.
Get the ball rolling.
Get the
Yeah.
ball rolling. Yeah.
And Carlos wasn't able to be here today, but he did have a couple things he wanted me to share. But of course I can't find it now. So he said that Amanda and Laurel did talk about our Coastal Resilience Committee joint meeting. So the agreements to do it at our CRC meeting on October 7th.
Oh.
Conservation Commission and CRC.
Okay.
He also mentioned that Peter Cappers, who's the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory lead for the ETIP initiative is scheduled to be at the Black Island Utility District annual meeting on August 23rd. So it's a good opportunity to ask any questions, follow up from his previous presentation, I think was in May. His written report will likely arrive in September. Yeah. So that's it.
And oh, the other thing that he sent in here was that the annual, they have 3 spots for board commissioners on the utility district. And so, everybody please consider that. We have some of the expertise that they're looking for, I guess. So, yeah. Okay, Carlos, we fulfilled our
Yes.
commitment to Carlos. And I'm going to just skip ahead in the agenda before we get to the public information and community engagement to do something what is very quick but super important, and that is number 6, opening on the 2026 Coastal Resilience Committee and the terms of the current members. I wanted just to let you guys know that the people who are eligible to roll off the committee in December are Valerie Blansfield, Ann Salinas, and myself. If you'll have me, I'm not planning on leaving the committee. I'll leave it up to Valerie and Ann to make decisions for themselves. However, I have another piece of information, and that is that Claire Cummings is planning to step down from the committee. She's willing to continue to assist us, but she's just, with 3 kids and the rest of the story there. So that creates if Ann and Valerie both want to re-up, as they say, we still have 1 opening on the committee. And I would like your permission. I don't know that we'd actually need a vote on this, but with you guys' permission, unless one of you guys really wants to be the chair in 2026, speak now or forever hold your peace, I'd be happy to recruit for a chair. To actually bring somebody new in as the chair, just like I was new as chair. I'm willing to be the vice chair, and no matter what, I really want to stay on the committee because I want to keep working with URI, which I would do anyway, but for you guys, but anyway, I'm willing to help the person, whatever, or let them grow into it on their own, whatever they want. But yeah, so do you, does that seem like a good plan to you guys to recruit for a chair? Unless Jean-Louis, you want to be the chair? You were hesitated there. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks. So let's move, without any other issues. No. Okay. We've talked about that. Okay. Oh, is it okay with you? I don't know if you want to create a new liaison or whatever, but I have been doing really 2 jobs on this committee. I've been the URI liaison and I've been the chair of the committee, and they are really 2 different jobs. I don't know if we need, once again, to vote on this, but I'd like to continue the URI liaisoning that I am doing unless somebody else really wants to take it over. Okay, then I will continue with that. And then if we need to do something formal, like creating a liaison position or something, we can do that at a future meeting. Let's move on to the August 4th meeting, and you guys are on. Thank you.
August 4th meeting.
Yes.
So, we've had several meetings, done quite a bit of work, and this is what is going to happen. On August 4th at 4 o'clock, GCA will present their 3 options for solutions for nature-based solutions for Corneck Road. And then at 4:45 or so, we'll break for refreshments. Our working group is asking the whole committee to bring 1 plate of finger foods because it's just too expensive to buy something. It costs hundreds of dollars. I think you spent what, $400? $400. That's just outrageous. At 5 o'clock, the audience will be invited to attend a Resilience Expo. And the purpose of that will be to learn of the solutions that GCA proposes by asking follow-up questions and to engage the public on what the Coastal Resilience Committee has been working on and to help people feel heard and share their ideas. There will be 5 of such tables. Each one is run by a specific person. I have table 1. The name of our table is Core Neck Resilience. Michael will be at that table to answer follow-up questions on his presentation. Judy will be there and myself. We will have posters on the vulnerable areas of Core Neck Road and posters on dune erosion. That's about it for table 1. And table 2 is called Mapping Climate Impacts on Block Island. Nora will head that table. And Nora's topic will be Storm Tools Siri demo, a story map, FEMA flood maps, sea level rise maps, and Annette Grilly will be there to model with modeling on Core Neck Road. Yeah, she's coming. She's coming. Table 3 will be run by Anne. It will cover such topics as marsh protection and migration, benefits of protecting salt marshes such as storm surge and flooding protection, erosion control, carbon sequestration, water quality, and habitat preservation. Table 4 is handled by Valerie. It's called Homeowners Concerns, well intrusion, failing septic systems, and erosion. So the topics those will be the topics. The question is will be posed is, how do I know if my septic tank is failing? And then table 5 is run by Mary, and it's called Resilience Solutions and Partnerships. And her table will cover nature-based solutions, green versus gray infrastructure, support, and partnerships. And Nora has done a tremendous job of pulling together other materials for support. Do you want me to just read them?
I can do it because I have to share
Okay, go
some
ahead.
things. Yeah, I just have some samples and open to any feedback on any and all of these things. Some of the things that we had talked about that I created I could create invites, and so there's some examples of that. I can pass that around too. Just kind of an invite that we could, send on the bib for sure, but also post places, kind of various things, and it has that QR code for the website, which now if you go to the website, a pop-up comes up that says that, invitation to this event as well. So really trying to kind of organize that all on the website. So that's like kind of one sample that I created. Another thing that I created, we had talked about as a working group, basically, was kind of a thank you that also included the QR code so people could kind of follow up, and just a thank you for coming. And again, just a QR code there. Another thing kind of similar as well is really just kind of labeling the tables with kind of table tents like this, right? So each table would have their tent, and then also kind of similarly, but like really we talked a lot about trying to get people to engage in different ways and how to make this as easy to engage in as possible, even if you feel a little, oh my gosh, what question do I ask? And so for each question, each table would have kind of a starter question. So like, not sure what to ask, start here. And so you could just, someone could come up and just say, what is storm tools? And so making, each of these for each table to just give some options for people who might be a little bit, overwhelmed by just coming up with a question on their own. The other kind of two things that we had just kind of talked about that I wanted to share my samples of, like, again, advocating for people to express their thoughts and ideas in any way possible, whether that's like with sticky notes because you don't want to have the conversation or whatever, and making some kind of bigger posters of some kind of shocking photos, and just really having those around the room, not attended by any person, but the ability to be like, this says, picture this, right? What questions or ideas do you have for this vulnerable spot? Grab a sticky note and write your ideas, kind of similar to what you guys had done at Earth Day, and I know other events in the past of just opening up the conversation and just, feedback just through sticky notes. My last thing is, and again, we hadn't really talked about this in a little while, but maybe as like a warm up or as people come in, having this like note sheet that already exists, already some sticky notes on that, as well as possibly a little like resilience bingo of like, as you wander around and chat with your neighbors, can you find someone who, uses native plants in their yard or garden? And so it's a little bingo that's related to all different resilience topics. And so maybe again, just kind of a fun way to have people get engaged in various ways. So those are kind of my samples. I'll leave them here so you guys can look as well. But again, open to any feedback or anything about those. But yeah, those are things. Yeah, I think that was everything.
It's wonderful. All the things I cannot do as nearly as well as you. I learned from Nantucket that in their their outreach meetings, if they run more than an hour, they give people an option to attend either all or part of the program. Do you think we should do that in our invitation?
Yeah, I had that initially in the invitation, but then because of just too many words on the paper, I kind of took it out. But I think I can add that back in too, of like come for one or both hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Even if they just come to the expo for 30 minutes, that's still
Yeah.
something. Yeah, yeah, okay.
Fine print.
Yeah. And then secondly, I have borrowed 10 of these from the library. They're perfect for your table thingamabobber.
Great, thanks.
I think that sums it up for now.
Job, you guys. Are there any questions about the 4th, or is there any questions for these guys? The two of you aren't involved.
One thing to mention on my table, George has agreed to be part of it. He's also, on the water quality testing in Great Salt Pond, as well as the committee for the Great Salt Pond. I've also reached out to Deandra at Nature Conservancy, and I'm hoping to, even if she's not able to attend, to have some information on the salt marsh monitoring that the Nature Conservancy does. So just a couple additions on my table.
I'm proud of the format that our group came up with.
Okay, good. I'm gonna go back. I like powered through some, I missed some stuff because I thought I wasn't gonna have time, but now I'm gonna go back to it and tell you that, and this is, it falls under the auspices of update from the climate, or from the coastal resilience chair. I wanted you all to understand, or to know that Father Pratano wrote to me, and he is engaging with the diocese to figure out what they're going to do about the parish center on Spring Street. They have engaged an engineering firm to give them a proposal for bluff mediation. I contacted Jen Brady right away and said, just FYI, he asked me this, and Jen sent me sort of the process that it has to go through, planning, zoning, getting that, but it was really nicely laid out. So I'll send that to you. But it was, I don't have it right in front of me right now.
That'd be a good thing to have on that table.
Yeah, oh, you bet. Yeah, also that you're part of the committee list, so you'll get it. He's not married to that, to doing something to the board. Because my immediate reaction to him was, I can't speak. I advise the town council. I don't advise private citizens. But sorry, I'm not on. I advise private citizens. I mean, I can advise as a private citizen, but not as a member of this committee. So Father, I'm sorry for the record, I wasn't on. I have a proposal from Father Propitano that he received from an engineering firm for addressing the bluff erosion right along his stretch of Spring Street. And so my reaction was, after what happened to your neighbor's attempt and the coir logs that the neighbor put that are now all wrapped up and gone out to sea or whatever, I'm surprised that you would consider this option, and that I hope that they'll also consider moving Parish House back from the edge. And he said, absolutely, everything's on the table. But they just have to, in order to start the process with the town, they need a proposal and something that they can basically start the conversation with. And so that's what they're doing. So just to let you know that, we're starting to get consulted, which is really great. As part of that, as somebody, here's a private entity that's reaching out to us for advice. And I went to Jen and I sent him back the process, which was really great. And anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that. I thought that was really a good sign.
And Judy, this is the first time it does happen. That means the town is going to give a permit to fix the erosion.
No.
It's not the first time.
What, the town hasn't,
The
CRMC.
The permit, like,
Oh, no, yeah, so they can approve a project, and they can permit it, but it's CRMC that has the final, the Coastal Resilience Management Council.
but this is the first time.
No,
No.
that,
So
that,
there is a precedent of the way it was given to the private people to have a permit to fix the bluff.
no, I think that we've kind of, sidestepped the process a little bit for the bluff mediation
Right.
north of Scotch Beach, and so now they're being super extra cautious. And that's good, we want them to follow
And
that
What
process.
is the status for us? Do we advise the town? about
We,
this?
we advise the town, not
Yeah.
private citizens, but in the generation of materials that we are gathering and stuff, we have information that we can share with the town, like, with the private citizens. Like I'm doing with this process, I'm sharing the process with a private citizen. But we have like the Nantucket documents, we could share that with private citizens or anything,
But to the town, do we have the job, the status of advice for a specific
No.
permit?
No, we just advise the town council in general. I don't think we should, I think the specific projects would have to be, that's the planning and the zoning board. So for example, if the project north of the bluff, north of Scotch Beach had gone through this whole process, planning and then zoning, we would have known about it. And if we had concerns about it, we would have had an opportunity to advise the town council that maybe not that about that project, but to say, these are the considerations we want you to have when you're evaluating something like this. Do we want a patchwork of mitigation projects on our bluffs, since the bluffs are part of the beauty of the island? How much are we taking away by allowing these projects? How much, I would also talk about sand sequestration, since it's the erosion of the bluffs that provides the sand for our beaches. And so is it fair to allow one citizen to sequester that sand when it's actually destined for the rest of us? And so but that, not any decisions, but those are the kinds of things that I would raise if we had a chance to weigh in on the northern.
Do we have already some kind of document when we listed what would be the advice, or we are
No.
too early for that?
It's too early for that, yeah.
And how the town, the planning board or the building department, I don't know who, doesn't have any qualification for erosion? Like, we should advise to them the correct skill to look at the erosion.
Right.
This is not an issue with planning, this is not an issue with building codes, it's really specific at the environment and
Correct,
So-
correct. And so Sosha and Mary both sit on the planning board. And so if something comes up to them that is, that's erosion related, they can refer
Yeah.
it to us for advice.
And the
And-
Conservation Commission.
And the
Yeah, I
Conservation
think Conservation Commission is where we're thinking about
Yes.
would give the advisory to those other commissions, and they have started to create kind of a checklist.
Unfortunately, tell me if I'm wrong, CRMC's rulings override our desires or our wishes. And that was expressed at the meeting we held with CRMC, asking them, how can you approve these Coir logs projects? And they said that it's still for them a study in progress, that they haven't really come to a final conclusion yet. But the bottom line for us is that the homeowner can bypass us altogether if they have CRMC approval. So I don't think we have resolved that.
But anyway,
So
yes,
I-
Nigel.
Is what you say actually the case, Sosha? So my understanding was that the town have to sign off.
Oh.
And the problem with the past one was that, it was signed off by someone who
Yes.
really wasn't in a position to be signing off on it. If we refuse to sign off on it, or if the planning board refused to sign off on the plan, whatever, then CRMC won't do it. I thought.
No, you're right. That was an oversight on the town's part. The first, one of the more, a prior project, similar one, only went to planning board because as part of the project, they wanted to include stairs leading down that bluff. It was not to ask permission for Coir logs, but I suppose you're right, Nigel, technically, that if the town refuses to sign off on it, I don't know what the process would then be. Would they have to justify that to CRMC? Would they have a meeting with them? I don't think it can
Well,
be.
and then it goes into the legal,
Yeah.
then we go in, and then we get into the legal realm. I think
I get it. I also get a sense that there's a timing issue sometimes. The CRMC process takes a long time. Now they've gotten the planning board's permission, and then they're looking for CRMC, or the reverse is happening, that one is coming before the other, and then kind of using that as, so
Well, we're
I
hoping
got,
that
I
they're
got,
not
I get the
saying
sense.
to
No, I know. I don't think
CRMC.
necessarily always
Oh, but they.
purposefully, but I think also just the timing wise seems
Yeah.
that sometimes that's also part of some of the complication.
The last thought for me is when you have erosion on the bluff, the public line is moving in the direction of private line.
Theoretically,
who-
wants to control
Would
that.
they-
Yeah.
So you cannot claim there is an erosion and this is my lawn, because if there is an erosion, it's not anymore, it's part of the public space.
CRMC is supposed to, as part of their evaluation, if it affects public access to the beach, then it won't be approved.
Don't tell me that.
The CRMC, one of their guidelines
Yeah.
is the project can't affect public access to the beach, so
Yeah.
like
Right,
if
then-
there's no beach anymore to walk through, then it shouldn't be allowed, right?
Right.
But it's, I mean, obviously, the affecting of access is something that happens in the future. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
that is so,
How
so
far?
how
in the
far
future
in the
they
future?
project.
I mean, it does seem to me as though this is something that the town needs to have a policy on.
Yeah.
And that, having met this situation at least once in a way that bypassed the town, that they really need to sort of grapple with this and decide if this is something that they will not permit and that this is simply off the table. Otherwise, you're going to be in a situation where a lot of individuals will, as individuals, put money into engineering firms to propose something
Yeah.
that
That
I
has no
believe
chance,
we
yeah.
as a community disapprove of. And it would be better if that disapproval was upfront.
Right.
I would have thought.
So we can certainly make a suggestion to the town council that they need to take a position on this.
But I'm still left with the impression that CRMC can override.
That's it, that's at the state level, and there's not, I mean, that, if you want to go after that, first you have to change the directors of the CRMC, which we still haven't been able to do. But, you know, I mean, that's a state thing that it's tilting at windmills. What can we do locally? If they go past us, if they go around us, that's between the town and CRMC. That's why, you know, that, then the town needs to go and make itself known to CRMC and say, you know, stop stabbing us in the back.
I would have
Yeah.
thought that CRMC would, in general, you know, accept the town's judgment. I mean, if the town makes a policy that this is.
Well, that has not been our experience. Certainly it
With
was
what?
not, well, certainly was not our experience with the Champlain's Marina. They went around behind the town. No, the town was against it and they went around, and that's,
But it was clear also that the way they went around it to CRMC was a decidedly backdoor methodology that then ended up being thrown out by the courts.
correct, and that's, we could get in that.
So I don't think that that's
But-
likely to happen again.
Well, we didn't think it was likely to continue as long as it did, but, and we can't predict the future.
No.
What we
sure.
can do is advise the town, and if you, I mean, just Nigel, if you just wanted to like get it all out on the page and then edit it down, if you wanted to create something that we want to take to the town council, I'd be happy to present it as the chair. If you guys wanted to, whoever wanted to work on writing something up about this, and then we can, you know, work on it as a committee, but to get us started on that, and if we want to take a position on this, this would be something that would be really good to discuss with the
Yes,
conservation
I was gonna say, I think
commission.
that should certainly be on the Conservation Commission discussion, because I
Yeah.
know that they're already creating this checklist of, I think for both the committee themselves, for the Conservation Commission themselves, but also just in general of like, what's the process, what's the order, CRMC, like how do these things actually
Yeah.
go? And so I
And they
think
have-
working with them to make something more official.
Sorry, the
They-
Conservation Committee have teeth.
They have teeth. The Conservation Commission,
They get
yeah,
their teeth.
they do stuff. We just advise.
They also get overruled by the.
Yeah, they get overruled
CRMC.
too, but we just advise. So they have a little bit more humph behind
They
their,
can partner with us. and stuff.
there you go. That's exactly what we're proposing.
This
And
is-
just one last thing, this is one of the things that's part of this ordinance review process. There's a
Yes.
number of proposed
Sorry,
ordinance
I'm
provisions that would address not just the bluff erosion control issues, but other alternatives and relief for setbacks and that kind of thing, that, so that property owners have other options for relocating potentially.
Yeah.
So I think we're a little bit stalled on that, but at some point we want to go to the town council with here are the priority revisions that we think should be made to the ordinances
Mhm.
to, accommodate some of these.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to
No, I'm
explain my
glad
ignorance,
we brought this up.
but who is, was it Jean Brady?
Jen Brady.
Jen Brady?
She is in charge of the comprehensive plan,
Ah,
the development of the comprehensive plan.
okay.
The Conservation Commission is the town clerk, or the town person is Amanda Boulay. That's the person in the town who coordinates the Conservation Commission. And we're going to have a joint meeting with them in October, right? Is that when I have to look in here and say, so we actually have meetings. August is to decompress from our public outreach event. September, we're going to hear from Nora about the ordinance review. October, a joint meeting with the Conservation Commission. November, hopefully we'll get the Coastal Institute back, because now that they've been approved, gotten their letter of support, that gives them time to figure out, they asked for a late fall meeting, so that works. And then maybe, and we can you can switch November and December, but we also want to hear from Aaron Peck and Izzy Rico about the marsh research. that they're doing out here. And I mean, that was just something that I had on my agenda because they are working out here. I'd like to hear from them about, what their plans are and what they're doing. But so that we're good for the rest of the year unless you guys come up with something more important that we need to.
think it's too early to start to look at this option of list, or the way we just described.
A list for.
For what would be the advice to the town, like we described, like, do you need to have a engineer in biology, or how do you want to?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're not advising the town to hire anyone until they hire
Right.
Nora.
But no,
But,
it's an
or
example
Nora.
of the list, like we just described them for now. The building department of planning, they are acting as the environment, on the environment, on the erosion, on all of this. So what do we do? Do we start to look at this and have a?
I think it's something, again, that ties into the ordinance review and some of the proposed changes that were being suggested. And then again, the Conservation Commission is coming up with
Okay.
such a list. So I think it's coordinating with them in the September, October.
I mean, yeah, we're a small town, but it's still really complicated on who does what and how it all comes,
Right.
and it's still even, I mean, even as small as we are, it's hard to know who the right person to talk to about
Right.
stuff. And so I just strike out until I hit the right person. And, a lot of times I ask Laurel or I'll ask Millie, who's, or I'll, a lot of time, because Charlene has her, I'll ask her, if her office door is open, I'll ask her who I should be talking to, but it's not always straightforward. I suggest if you have ideas, get them in writing, get them written down. If they're, bring them to the committee. If there are things that we need approval for from the council, we'll go for it. Yeah. And we'll help you develop it.
Just one, and we were having this conversation without George, who's both our CRMC and our Conservation Commission liaison.
Yeah.
So he has been having conversations with CRMC and he is keeping tabs on what's being submitted, if
Correct.
anything, to them for approval. So I think reaching out to George and maybe Nigel, who's done a lot of work on this in the past.
Yeah, George is, and he does
A little
go on their
subcommittee.
website and check and see if there's anything from Block Island. They're pretty good about keeping their website up to date.
So
So,
Maybe we need a new working group to look at that specifically.
in terms of your agendas, Julie, when do you see us talking about the goals for 2026? Because I think I have a feeling that after the meeting with GZA and we do our briefing, that we are emotionally ready to look at what our priorities ought to be.
I think that is a really good question. And I suggest that we start on August 5th with that. What are our goals for 2026? Because then
Mhm.
that would be an outgrowth of what
Mhm.
we've learned. But also, maybe we, keep it on the agenda almost every month and,
Yeah.
give ourselves a little time to, keep digesting it and come up with new ideas. But I think that's a really good idea.
For example, and in terms of the ordinances, I think that pursuing ordinances is going to be the lowest hanging, most productive fruit picking that you can get. It is time consuming in terms of, these things take time for public hearings and whatnot, but it's something we can do right away. And you can judge now for yourself based on the church's application that's coming up, hoping maybe or wanting to consider being able to move their building. I think some of these zoning variances or new zoning ordinances should be pursued ASAP. They don't require any grant monies, any huge plans. It's relatively easy. It just takes time.
Yep. All right. Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Before we close the meeting, yeah.
Yeah, I prepared a presentation for Nantucket, knowing fully well we might not be in the mood.
Right.
So I'll table it.
Oh, but you brought a handout about
Yes,
Nantucket.
yes, you can read it yourself, of course, but
Okay.
I think it's more fun to present it in stages and maybe have some comments.
So, yeah, so I need to get that on an agenda sometime.
Can I just read 5 lines that I
Sure.
love?
Yeah, we started 3 minutes.
So
ago.
when I first contacted Nantucket, her name was Leah Hill. She's their coastal resilience coordinator. I found an article about her, and in it she's quoted as saying that by 2030, or in 7 years, we could lose service to the steamship wharf at mean monthly high water. By 2070, 30 miles of our roads will be covered in 6 inches of floodwater during regular high tides. The flooding we see today on the island will be the high tides of tomorrow. Charged with implementing the Coastal Resilience Plan adopted by the Select Board last year, Hill needs to figure out how to pay for $900 million in proposed projects over the next 10 to 15 years. Although the town allocates $1 million a year, which we don't even do, right?
Right.
It is a drop in the bucket when the proposed project cost upward of $170 million.
Yep.
Just, you know,
Do you know what their projection on sea level rise actually is by 2030?
I don't know that, but in my report, you have all kinds of websites that you can refer to.
Oh, 2070.
No, 2030. I mean,
30. Yeah, that depends on which curve they're using. I mean, you'd have to go into the document to see which,
Yeah.
which, are they
but to
using?
have
NOAA light,
mean monthly
NOAA
high
heavy.
water threatening their steamship wharf by 2030 sounds like more sea level rise than one is imagining under almost any scenario. I mean, I don't know what it looks like at the moment, but
I think it
Love.
floods all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yes,
think
they're,
They have some really good stuff on their website too about, and their coastal resilience plan that they have of like, I think they're in much worse shape than we are.
and so is Martha's
better shape
Vineyard.
money-wise,
I mean, I went to Martha's Vineyard, and while the wharf itself was above water level, the entire parking lot and the entire egress was flooded on a regular high tide
okay.
last fall when I was there. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Good.
may we declare victory? Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Sosha, any second? Oh, Anne, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion? And look at that, 4:33. Good job, you guys.